Hey there and welcome. It's What's Up Wednesday. I'm Heather and let's do this thing. So I love Facebook for so many reasons, but what I really love is when I see a memory that's shared and it reminds me of something that maybe I had forgotten. This week's blog post is all about how that happened. My husband shared a picture of he and my son at the Guns N' Roses concert last year. And I remember that I was supposed to be at that concert, but I had gotten mono and had to sit it out. I sat a lot of things out that year, that summer. And when I saw this memory being shared, it reminded me of how miserable I was last year and what led up to me being miserable, and a reminder of how far I had come since I had started this keto journey and why I'm still here. So originally I started down the keto path because I wanted to lose weight. I'm vain and weight loss was my driving force. But for somebody that was always chronically ill, when health appeared, I realized how much more important health was to me than the weight loss, than the numbers on the scale. The fact that I didn't wake up hurting every morning, the fact that I had energy to actually go and tackle the day, the fact that I didn't have stomach upset, that I didn't have heartburn, that I didn't need blood pressure medication anymore. All of those things became more important than the numbers on the scale. Until last year, when I had a series of events that led me down a path to where I didn't make cooking a priority. I let certain things slip in, like eating out and maybe having a little bit more sugar than I normally would, which is pretty much none. Drinking. We went to Napa and drank wine, a lot of wine in Napa. And I just got lazy. That's what it came down to. I got lazy and didn't make this a priority. And what ended up showing up was not numbers on the scale. They didn't change. What changed was my health. First thing to go, I had a kidney infection. Boom. Not a surprise. I went to Napa, drank a lot of wine, and even though I drank a lot of water, it wasn't nearly enough water to compensate for it. Then came back and turned around and went to Washington, D.C. So I was constantly going, and I didn't ever slow down enough to give my body a rest. And what showed up was mono. And I had to realize that I had been in denial about what led me there. Like, the numbers weren't moving on the scale, so it was easy for me to ignore the other signs, like a kidney infection. Like, normal people go, oh, kidney infection, time to maybe change things up a little bit. That was not my case. I'm stubborn like that. So it took me having to look in the mirror and seeing glands that were like this to not be able to hide from the truth. And the truth was I had gotten lazy and I had gotten lax, and the things that drove me to the keto life, the weight loss wasn't the most important thing. It was the health. And when I spent most of my life sitting out on the sidelines because I was either sick or recovering from one of 14 surgeries in a matter of 20 years, I realized that I was once again sitting out on the sidelines. I missed the Guns N' Roses concert. Something that I wasn't necessarily about the Guns N' Roses concert, but it was an event that was important to my husband, and my son had to go in my place. And I remember sitting at home feeling helpless and hopeless, and remembering very clearly that this was a feeling that I was very familiar with, but it had just been so long since I had felt that. And it was a reminder of, this is not just about weight loss. And it may have started that way for me, but that's not what it was anymore. And in the blog post, there's more that I share of how I ended up there, but ultimately, what I want to share with you is that, I have clients that come to me absolutely for weight loss, that 100% sure, positive that that's a driving force for a lot of people. But then there's also people that come to me that relate to my story, that have had autoimmune issues or gastrointestinal issues. IBS, Crohn's disease, suffering from some kind of thyroid impairment, chronic sinus issues, migraines, the high blood pressure. The list is huge, and there's many different ailments. And what I can tell you is that I probably had them all. And what I know now to be true, and what my clients know, is that when I am diligent and vigilant and following this way of life, the way it was meant to be followed, which is 100% of the time, as much as possible. There's vacation eating. There's definitely times when there's real world stuff. I know what to do now to stop that and also be real. If I'm going on vacation, I'm real with my expectations and what I need to do as soon as I get back to not continue it and perpetuate this cycle. But if I'm doing everyday stuff and I'm only doing it 85% or 90% of the time, and I'm allowing things in that once were exceptions and are now the things that I'm just turning to every day, I can tell you that this does not work. Not for health. And my weight loss, that's a tricky thing, and that's really, an individual from person to person basis. For me, it's not always, like I said, I don't always show it on the scale, but I feel it in my body, and my clients feel it in their bodies. So no matter what the scale says, if you are not doing this 100% of the time and staying true to it, that there was going to be repercussions. So be aware of that this is not something that you can do half the time and then, half the time do other stuff and get the full results, especially when it comes to health. So having said that, head over to the blog. I got lots more to say about this. I will not be live for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be on vacation, but never far from my phone. So if you have anything to say about this topic or anything else, put it here, post it on the website. It starts with thefood.com. If you're interested in, getting some more recipe ideas and trying to implement this way of life into your realm, to see if this is something that will work for you, and you haven't had a chance to sign up for the Zero to Keto, or not the Zero to Keto, but Get Keto Clear free email series, there are recipes in that. And you might just find that it's a whole lot easier than you think. So you can also sign up at itstartswiththefood.com. All right. Until 3 weeks from today, I will be back, but I will be posting some previous What's Up Wednesdays next Wednesday and the Wednesday after, and they're good ones. They're oldies but goodies. So if you're new to my page, definitely come check them out. All right. Take care, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.